Hello aspirants, this is our website www.asr.com. We upload current affairs here daily. So the current affairs for the month of November, we upload current affairs in 3 sections: news, editorial and question bank. Also on the demand of the students, we provide a PDF daily for all 3 sections. The video links are also provided here. Presently looking at news for 18th November. The news items which we have picked up from the Hindu for today are these 10. The first one, notes were printed only after September 4. So with respect to the demonetization drive, there are many questions arising as well. One question which has arose is, how does the RBI Governor Urjit Patel has his signature on the new currency notes? So he was appointed as the governor of RBI, succeeding Raghuram Rajan only on September 4. And the government says that the demonetization initiative started 6 months back. Then he has been appointed just 2 months back. So this is a question which came up. So the government has presently given a clarification saying that the process started, but the printing of the new notes started only after September 4. So that is how his signature is justified. Then another question which has arose is about the security features in the new notes. So we have already seen earlier that the paper which has been used for the new currencies has been sourced from India itself. It has not been imported from Western country companies which also source these papers to Pakistan. So that is one aspect. And about the security features in these notes. So security features, we have known that they have remained unchanged. It says to change security features, it takes around 2 to 3 years. So this has been done presently with the same security features. But what the government justifies this with, saying that there are 3 types of security features: overt, semi-covert and covert. Overt and covert, what does that mean? Overt means out in the open, can be seen. Covert means like covert operations which you hear of, which are unknown, not known. So overt and covert here, overt it says is that can be detected by the naked eye. Semi-covert means that can be detected by handheld machines, whether the currency is having those security features or not. And covert means they are visible only in big machines which are installed at banks. So presently we have not changed the covert security features in the new currency notes. The government says that the fake currencies, counterfeit currencies which are presently there in the economy, which are being now removed from the economy, they were having security features, not having covert security features covered. So Pakistan has been able to counterfeit our currency, taking into consideration all overt and semi-covert, but not covert security features. So they have not been able to crack that. So that is why the same security features have been included in the new currencies as well. This shows the stand of various parties also on demonetization. Some of them completely reject it and call for a rollback. Some of them are calling for a review and a rollback. AIADMK and DMK are giving their support, but they are concerned about the suffering of the common people. Biju Janata Dal is one party which has completely welcomed the move. Shiv Sena is also concerned about the way the government is taking up this demonetization initiative, which is targeting the poor people more. So those are the stands of the parties. Next news is UPA government also proposed it. We said no. So this is former Deputy Governor of RBI, who was there as Deputy Governor from 2009 to 2014, Mr. K.C. Chakrabarti. He says, as we did in the previous news too, government said this was on agenda since 2011. So during the UPA government's tenure too, it had considered this initiative, but RBI has said no to that. So he says we said no because the 2 aspects which are covered by demonetization initiative, that is countering black money and countering counterfeit currencies. Both these initiatives cannot be solely handled by demonetization, because black money will still be generated in the future. It is more of the taxmen, the taxation authorities in the country which have to be equipped enough to tackle this black money issue, because again the 2000 rupee notes and further currency which will come in, that will go as black money as well. So black money will be generated in the future now. So how will that be tackled is a question. So only thing which will make this possible is if there is again a demonetization initiative, say 7 to 8 years later, which even a secretary has spoken of. So this will result in people having this fear that they cannot keep money as cash stacked in their homes. So they will ensure that all the money goes into the banks. They don't keep a lot of cash with them, so that later black money again is not generated, at least in the form of cash. So this is one aspect, of course, which will be beneficial. But then he also says that black money is the taxpayers generate black money. So that is not being targeted. And second point which he puts forth is about counterfeit currency. He says counterfeit currency is very few. We have done this earlier too. This was a news earlier which we discussed, in which a study by a Kolkata institute showed that counterfeit currency is only 0.025% of the total budget outlay. So to remove the counterfeit currency from the economy, if you are going to change all the currency, it does not have any logic, because he gives an example. If you buy a kilo of rice and there will be some small stones interspersed, what do you do to remove these particles? You remove these particles. You don't throw away the entire rice. So this is one example which he is given. But anyway, demonetization drive has been approved by all, provided it is implemented effectively, and it will only result in benefits accruing in the short term, not a very long term. Means this is bound to happen again too, to make sure that this same scenario does not develop again. So if there is that threat, then only this demonetization initiative, majorly targeting black money, will be taken care of. Then the next news item is plea against use of word Dalit by media. High Court seeks centre's reply. There has been a petition filed in the Delhi High Court asking that the centre, the Press Information Bureau, should provide a notice that media should not use the word Dalit as they use right now. That atrocities committed by Dalit, atrocities committed on Dalit. So it says, the petitioner says that it's not a particular community which commits atrocities. So don't mention in terms of the community. That brings in a wrong image about them. So Dalits and upper caste as treated separately in news items, unnecessarily the term being raised, is bringing in more divisions in the society. So the High Court has sought reply from the centre, and it will hear the petition further in Jan. So we'll hear more on this too. Then the next news item is India overtook China in number of deaths due to pollution report. So the premature deaths due to ambient air pollution which take place have increased in India, and China has been able to reduce these deaths since 2015. So we have overtaken China in terms of number of deaths due to ambient air pollution. So this is because China has initiated many measures and brought them in place to reduce air pollution levels. But in India, air pollution levels are continuously increasing unabated. So what this calls for is government initiatives to control air pollution levels. So that is the news. This you can see is the air pollution levels in various states in India, various cities in India, and it is seen that in northern India air pollution is much higher than in southern states because of the geographical conditions too, which we have discussed earlier too with respect to Delhi too. So this is the reason. Then the next news item is protests against Bengaluru steel flyover project intensifies. This is regarding the 7-kilometer flyover which is planned by the government. It will cost 1,800 crore rupees. The rationale provided by the government is to decongest traffic jams in the region. But then it will result in 800 trees along this route to be cut, and the residents in this area do not want this to happen. The government says that there will be new saplings sown in another region, but then the residents have come up against it, saying that it will result in further pollution and the region will suffer. So they have initiated protests, and now the organization, the citizens organization which has been formed, has plans to elaborate on their whole protests and also include other aspects, like they want air monitoring stations installed in the region. They want testing of water in existing lakes about how much is the level of pollution there, testing the soils and the health of trees in the region. So they have taken up environment seriously and are questioning government's infrastructure projects of such large scale, which may result in further environmental degradation too. Presently, National Green Tribunal, which is the tribunal on environment cases, so this has put a stay on this project. So presently all plans are suspended. Then the next news item is Gairsain for Uttarakhand's capital. In the year 2000, we had 3 new states formed. The 29th state of India is Telangana, which has been formed presently. But in year 2000, the 3 states formed, 26th, 27th and 28th were Jharkhand, Uttarakhand and Chhattisgarh. So Uttarakhand was actually Uttaranchal, then it was renamed Uttarakhand. The capital of Uttarakhand is Dehradun, but when it was formed, it was said this will be the provisional capital. And the new capital has been proposed because the reason why Uttarakhand separated out from Uttar Pradesh is because of its geographical location in having the hilly terrain. So a capital in that region will bring in more welfare for the state as such, even the rationale on which it was formed. So Gairsen, which is a small village in Chamoli district, here you can look at the map here of Uttarakhand. So Dehradun is here. So this lies in the plains. I will show you the physical map too. In Chamoli district here, there is a village called Gairsen. So the government plans, presently it is a Congress government and elections are due in Uttarakhand assembly. So this Gairsen village in Chamoli district in Uttarakhand is scheduled to become the new state capital. For that, even the buildings have been initiated. It has established, the Congress government has started work on the capital and a newly constructed Vidhan Sabha building has also come up here. But then the decision of changing from Dehradun to Gairsen as the state capital is hanging because both regions have to be satisfied, the plains as well as the hilly terrain. So you can see this is the physical map too. These are the Himalayan regions, the glacial regions, then this is high elevation. These are the plain regions. So Dehradun is up here. So they want, if they change the capital, then these people will be hit them and the people in the plains may be going against the government, and if the capital is not changed, then these area will be lost out on. So this entire political weightage on the decision is being considered just before the assembly. So they are not sure of how to go ahead with this. But there it is on agenda that Gairsen would become the new capital. BJP says that the present Uttarakhand government, Congress government, is not serious on this, and Congress government says that we have built up the Vidhan Sabha building. So we are serious on this issue. But then this is the dilemma. Then the next news item is Tamil Nadu fishermen injured in firing by Lankan Navy. We have discussed about India-Sri Lanka fishermen issue in news in November only. We have seen about the talks which are going on and how they will go ahead. This is the international maritime boundary also between India and Sri Lanka. The fishery on the Sri Lankan side is much more richer. So that is why many fishermen from India intentionally or unintentionally also enter into these waters, and Sri Lankan government has said that there will be no firing. But presently there has been a case where 2 fishermen have been fired on. It is supposed to be they were fired in the hip and shoulder area. So it is said that it was maybe rubber pellets which were used. So rubber bullets have been used for firing, but the Sri Lankan government says no such firing has taken place. But they are injured and they have been admitted to hospitals. So this is again a little tension between the two countries because of this issue. Because finally no conclusion has come out on the talks too. Then the next news item is India hopes Bhutan will ratify Vehicles Pact. So this is regarding MVA, Motor Vehicles Agreement. It was proposed by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2014 at the SAARC summit in Kathmandu. So it actually wanted all SAARC members. SAARC presently comprises of 8 members: India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Maldives. So all 8 members, not all 8 because 2 are island nations, these are Sri Lanka and Maldives. So all 6 other nations of SAARC were supposed to be part of it because it is a motor vehicles agreement, a land route agreement. So what has happened was, at that time Pakistan has refused to sign this agreement. So if Pakistan refuses, Pakistan is the route through which we can enter into Afghanistan. So Afghanistan was also left out. So now the remaining 4 states which remain are BBIN: Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal. So now it is called BBIN MVA agreement. So this is a sub-SAARC motor vehicle agreement now. So this agreement has been signed by India, Bangladesh and Nepal, and it is stuck in Bhutan now. So the remaining 3 countries have ratified it. The only country remaining, Bhutan, its lower house ratified the agreement. When it went to the upper house, it did not approve it. So that is the news right now, that Bhutan's National Council, which is the upper house, you can see here it's mentioned that Bhutan's lower house had signed that agreement earlier. This is Bhutan's National Assembly. So that had passed the bill, but Bhutan's National Council rejected the bill. That has resulted in this MV agreement ratification by Bhutan being stalled. So there are further initiatives which can be taken. If the government wants, it can call for a joint session of the two houses too and get the bill passed. So once Bhutan ratifies, which India is optimistic about, then this BBIN MV agreement will come into effect, and it will provide road connectivity through all these four countries that will result in trade getting a boost. So that is the economic objective of this agreement. What Bhutan specifically protests against is the environmental consequences, because it says we are a very small country, and it, as you must have heard of, it speaks of gross national happiness index. So it's more about well-being and prosperity rather than GDP, economic growth. So that is the orientation. It says we have very narrow roads and even the infrastructure is limited. So once this agreement comes into place, the huge amount of cars which will come on the roads and the pollution which it will cause are the threats which we will face. So those are the concerns here. So it says we are very scared of the prospect of this agreement. So once these apprehensions settle down and they understand the benefits of it, then maybe the bill will be passed and this agreement ratified by Bhutan as well. Then you can look here, as you can see, this is about all the such proposed road connectivity projects which India has undertaken. One is this motor vehicles agreement, which you can see the four countries involved too: Nepal, Bhutan, this is India and Bangladesh. So this is the BBIN road connectivity project. It will further bring connectivity through railways also. So that will also bring further connectivity. The other proposed projects, this yellow line which you see is Kaladan multimodal transit project. So this is not just a road project. It has all routes like road as well as waterways. So this is from Kolkata. It will give connectivity to northeast, because what is there with India has northeast separated out from the mainland. The only connectivity to northeast from mainland India is this narrow stretch. This is called Siliguri corridor, also called Chicken's Neck. So this Siliguri corridor is a very narrow passageway. Of course, not as narrow as seen on the map, but still this is the only route through which it can go. Means if anybody from Kolkata wants to go to Assam, Guwahati, he has to go up, go through this passage and then go to Guwahati. So internal through India, this is the route. Of course, another route is through Bangladesh, but Bangladesh has been historically a little reluctant to provide connectivity, road connectivity for trade to India. So that has been the problem. So we have been in talks with Bangladesh too to give us transit, and we have initiated this project also. Now around a decade old too. So this is Kaladan multimodal transit project, which uses the waterway. So from Kolkata, it will be waterway which will be used to go to this port, Sitwe port. You should know Sitwe port in Myanmar, which India is developing. So this Sitwe port, then further this is the Kaladan river, which gives it the name. So Kaladan river will be inland waterway used to reach this place, Paletwa in again Myanmar. Then from here the road connectivity will come till the border area, and then from there the inland internal roadway to India will be provided. So this is how connectivity can be provided to the northeast from the mainland India from Kolkata. So this is another project. In another project here connecting northeast to Thailand. So this is Asian Trilateral Highway involving three countries: India, Myanmar and Thailand. So this is another initiative we have taken. Then another one involving even China is BCIM corridor. Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar corridor. So this will also provide road connectivity to all four countries. The next news item is India is non-committal on market economy tag for China. So China is a member of WTO. WTO was founded in 1995 as a successor to GATT, General Agreement on Trade, Tariff and Trade. So this GATT seized it and WTO succeeded it as a trade organization that was only an agreement. Now WTO is World Trade Organization. So an organization covering both goods and services, trade in goods and services. So the World Trade Organization had founding members in 1995, also the members of GATT. So India is a founding member of WTO in 1995. But with respect to China, it became a member of WTO in 2001. So there was a protocol on the accession of China to the WTO which was put forth. So according to this protocol, after 15 years from 2001 till 2016, after that countries have to grant market economy status, MES, to China. So China is demanding this from countries, and India presently, the news is that it is non-committal, means it is not inclined to automatically grant this status to China, market economy status. The stand which is taken is that China indulges in trade distorting activities. There's something called anti-dumping duties which are imposed. So dumping is a practice, means a country sells, exports goods, commodities at a price much lower than even the cost price and the price at which it is sold in its own market in another country. The reason being to capture the market. Means even if the cost price is 5 rupees, for example, considering in Indian currency only, if the cost price is 5 rupees, it is sold at 3 rupees or 4 rupees. So in India also, if the cost price of that commodity produced locally is 5 rupees, it will be sold at 6 rupees. So if it is for 6 rupees and from the commodity coming from China is for 3 rupees. So with respect to the price difference, consumers in India would also buy Chinese product because it is 50% less, very cheap. So this practice is indulged in to capture the market. Once people are used to buying that commodity from a particular source, then even the competition is extinguished, and later if the price is increased, then people will pay for it. So this is called capturing markets. So when a country feels that another country is indulging in dumping, then under the WTO provisions, it can impose anti-dumping duties. Means if the commodity is coming from China at 3 rupees, it's planning to sell it for 3 rupees, and the Indian commodity is for 6 rupees, and the country says that in China the price of that commodity is also 6 rupees or something, then we can impose an anti-dumping duty. So even if it's 5 rupees in China, then we impose an anti-dumping duty of 2 rupees to make it the same. So this is WTO allowed practice which is followed. So anti-dumping duties are imposed even by India. It says that from 1994 to 2014, out of the 535 cases when anti-dumping duties were imposed by India, 134 have been from Chinese commodities. So it's a major chunk. So that is another stand taken, that China indulges in trade distorting activities. Even USA and EU are not ready to confer market economy status to China presently. So India is also considering what should be its stand. So the Western countries say that Chinese government provides subsidies to various sectors. They indulge in currency manipulation. They have this price fixing technique. There is absence of transparency on the lending rates in the economy. Also, the banks in China have bad loans. There are minimum wages which are not provided up to the mark for a decent standard of living. So labor issues are there. Property rights are not provided. There is lack of proper business accounting standards as well. So all these cause distortion in global trade. So that is the reason why these Western countries are arguing that we will not confer market economy status on China. Now the status throughout worldwide is that countries which have a strong manufacturing base themselves, they are opposing granting this status to China, and countries which are dependent on Chinese manufacturing and China has invested and formed their manufacturing bases in these countries, especially in Africa and Latin America, they are supporting China, conferring it market economy status. So that is the news. Again, we'll have to wait and watch. It's till December 2016. So there'll be more news coming on it. This is the map which you can see on granting China market economy status. So countries which have granted, which have not granted, temporary status considering, are these shown here. Then these are the WTO members. There are 164 WTO members presently. The blue regions are observers which are in negotiations to eventually become members of WTO. This is a little old data here, but there are 164 member states presently. Then the last news item is Band-Aid-like sensor can monitor heart health. So this is researchers from USA have developed a tiny, soft, wearable acoustic sensor. Acoustic means related to hearing. So this sensor can detect mechanical vibrations too which take place inside the body. So movement of fluids, body fluids, opening and closing of heart valves. So it can help in cardiovascular monitoring. So all these events can be recorded. If there is any change which is detected, then it will result in easier answering of the problems which can come up later. So this diagnosis can be through this. That is the benefit of this. It can be easily worn, and other applications of it are also there. It can help in speech recognition. So it uses mechanical waves, hearing acoustic waves. So speech recognition can take place through it. It can also be used as a human machine interface. It can be used by the military too, because it can detect even vocal cord vibration signals. So based on the command given, even the robots, vehicles, drones, UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles can also be controlled through this. So these are the various applications of this small device. So these are the news items for today. Thank you.